Have you ever struggled to navigate complex personalities or had those moments where you dread having a conversation with someone because of the chaos it could create? Or you want to avoid being near someone because it's so unsettling, like you don't know what's going to happen kind of next, where it's going to go. And so how do we navigate those complex personalities in life? Because we are going to run into them in a multitude of ways in times that we expect, and then people that we know it's not going to always be the easiest conversation. And so for today, as we're thinking about that, we can go to Psalm 3, verses 1 through 3, and here the psalmist gives voice to this issue. Lord, I have so many enemies. So many are standing against me. So many are talking about me. Even God won't help me. But you, Lord, are my shield. You are my glory. You are the one who restores me. Now, a couple of things are happening here. It's kind of an interesting thing, right? The psalmist is all about, Lord, I have so many enemies. And enemy here, you could really just put in, substitute it with anything, anyone who is making your life difficult, who you get worried about being near, anyone who just makes life difficult, is overly dramatic, who kind of unsettles you. And so it could be a multitude of things, and it could be at different times. It's not always the same person, right? It's one of those things where the psalmist is like, help me, oh Lord, and throws up hands and is like, I don't think it's going to happen. It's like this moment of going, even God won't help me. And then in the next breath, the psalmist does something interesting. But you, Lord, are my shield. You are my glory. You are the one who restores me. So in the difficult spot, we're like throwing up our hands. We don't know what to do anymore. And then going, wait a minute. Oh, Lord, you are my protection. You restore me. And so it goes, well, how does that work? How do we get to the place? Because we're ready to throw up our hands. How do we get to the place of protection and restoration? And here, Jesus gives us a sense of how this works in John 14, verses 8 through 21. And at this moment in John 14, Jesus is trying to get the disciples ready that he is not going to be with them in the same way that they expect him to be, that his life is coming to an end, his lifespan. His presence will remain with them and will be part of their lives, but he's trying to explain, well, how does that work? And so here, John 14, verses 18 through 21. I won't leave you as orphans. I will come to you. Soon the world will no longer see me, but you will see me. Because I live, you will live too. On that day, you will know that I am in my Father. You are in me, and I am in you. Whoever has my commandments and keeps them loves me. Whoever loves me will be loved by my Father, and I will love them and reveal myself to them. So here we get a sense of how restoration and how protection happen when we understand the teachings of Jesus, when we understand those commandments, as Jesus said. And that when we are living the way of Jesus, Jesus is living in us. God is living in us. So when we're thinking about, okay, well, what did Jesus teach? Jesus taught us to be healing, to be encouraging, to listen to one another, to serve one another. Jesus taught us how to be present with one another, no matter the situation. Sometimes it was easy. Jesus was in the presence of somebody who really was excited to see Jesus. And then there were the times where Jesus had to live into that love when people wanted to kill him. And everything in between, Jesus lived. And so when we're thinking about that life of Jesus and how we begin to live it, how we begin to center on it, that even when people are engaging with us in conversation, when their presence is with us, and maybe they won't even receive a word of encouragement from us. Like we're trying to show up. We're trying to listen. We're trying to encourage, and yet they just absolutely will have nothing to do with it. Here's how we know there is restoration and protection, because we can go, you know what? I am trying to live the way of Christ. That it may be rejected by someone else, My good deeds may be rejected by someone else, but I have tried to live the way of Christ. And so for us today, with whatever you may be struggling with, whoever you may be struggling with, it's one of those moments of going, how am I trying to be that encouragement, that love in this world? And then recognizing that it will not always be accepted, but our protection and our restoration come in knowing that we have tried to live into the love of Christ, that we have tried to live into the love of God, and that love will never leave us. God's presence will not leave us. The presence of Christ will not leave us when we are living in to that way of Jesus. May you be blessed this day. May you be inspired. May you be strengthened and comforted in whatever obstacles you face. Have a good one.